Hello and welcome to the first full podcast of Devil's Discourse. And on this podcast, we shall be discussing satanic rituals. And to discuss that with me, I have Laraj.
Hail Satan.
And I have Ligeia.
Hail Satan.
And I have Leopold.
What up, my Satan fanciers, my Beelzebub admirers, my Asmodeus adorers, my satanic choir ensemble, how are we all?
And we have Pike.
Hail Satan.
And after that introduction, we will move on to the main subject. I am sure that some of you who are in satanic circles are already familiar with Chaplain Leopold's voice. He has done quite a few things, both in the press and on YouTube, regarding Satanism and satanic rituals in particular. Would you like to start us off, Leopold?
Well, that's very kind of you to, what a nice introduction. Thank you so much, Lithos. And yes, I would love to. I was actually considering, we are discussing ritual, I was thinking of doing a very brief setting the tone, setting the space, establishing the ritual space, if anyone would be interested in that very quickly.
Yes,
Absolutely.
please.
Right then. Well, without further ado, welcome all dark congregants to this most unholy of spaces. You are all here of your own volition and your own accord to bask in the glorious radiance of the underworld fires. Welcome, seekers of knowledge, desirers of illumination, and those who bask in Satan's majesty. Hail Satan, and let us establish hell on earth this evening. Hail Satan!
Hail
Satan.
Satan.
Not up to my usual standard, but
And
a
those
nice
stats.
little off-the-cuff intro there. So yeah, we have a ritual space established.
Absolutely.
It was very good.
And that sets the general tone of the kind of rituals that happen. All the rituals we do, I should say, are not in any way remotely similar to what you might have read in fiction or seen in movies, i.e., we do not sacrifice animals. We do not deflower virgins on an altar. We don't do any of that shit. That's all hokum and bullshit.
Not whilst people are looking. But then we have our secret
Well.
rituals as well.
Jules.
I was going to say,
That's it, I'm fucking leaving. If we don't do any of that, I'm gone.
Yeah, where's the
I mean,
fun?
100% agree on the no animal sacrifices and everything, but hey, if there are any virgins that want to be deflowered, that's up to them, It's like,
Well, yes, absolutely. If it's
Okay.
consensual, consent is
We
all.
don't even need to be virgins, okay? We don't. Need to do
Defloration
that,
can
so
happen at
I'm
any stage.
waiting.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. Oh my God, we're starting really nicely.
Well, start as you can and mean to go on. Yeah, these are essentially rituals of self-affirmation, would be the way I would describe it. They're basically a space in which you are affirming your own self, empowering your own self, and making your own self master of your own life, essentially, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think a lot
Yeah.
of people who are interested in atheistic Satanism or are not, or maybe unfamiliar with how it works, as atheists, they might be thinking, how is it possible that atheists do rituals? Is there an answer to that?
I would say everyone does rituals. A ritual is not some kind of special magical. It's a standard thing. As humans, we all do rituals all the fucking time. Every time we perform an action that is in any way repeatable or something we like doing. It's a ritual. The way you'd go into your kitchen and start preparing your evening meal might be a ritual. All these things are rituals, I would say.
So, yeah, just to kind of agree with Lithos on that point, 100%. So if anyone who isn't familiar with my work in the satanic scene and everything, I've been a practicing Satanist for 10 years now. I've been instrumental in establishing a few well-known satanic organisations, both here in the UK and abroad. And in that time, my massive focus has been both as a spokesperson for Satanism and, promoter of positive satanic, images around the world and in the UK, but more so inside Satanism and working with people, my main focus has been on ritual, creating ritual, and the positive benefits that ritual has upon all those in Satanism and how they work. So ritual is something so deep and so close to my heart. And it's everything that's been said so far. What Ligeia was saying about ritual is not a mystical, magical spell that we're casting. Ritual is a personal time, a tool that a Satanist would use for personal introspection, personal empowerment, meditation, possibly. And then, of course, what Lithos is saying about ritual in a humanity context, ritual is inherent to the human experience. Anyone who says, oh, ritual, I don't do ritual, I'm like, you absolutely do. You just don't classify it as a ritual. And I think you gave some great examples there to start with, just the normal, basic, everyday things. Waking up, what side of the bed you get out on, brushing your teeth, what order you do your morning in. These are your rituals. They are things that ground you, and they are things that give you, a raison d'etre, a purpose, a drive, and I find it's, we'll probably get into this later, but ritual has almost been co-opted by religions at large to mean something that is taken away from all humans and, put exclusively in the hands of the priesthood and those with the power and those who claim to speak for gods and whatnot, and told, oh, no, rituals are things that we control and we bestow on you and everything. And it's like, completely couldn't be further from the truth. Ritual is something that every single human on planet Earth owns and practices in their own way, is my sort of, my initial opening statement, if you like. There we go. So I'll throw that cat amongst the pigeons and see what you guys think about that.
I wanted to read a quote which I think kind of like backs up exactly what Leo's just said. It's from the anthropologist Bronislaw Malowinski, from his book Magic, Science and Religion and Other Essays, which he published in 1948. And he said, "The function of magic is to ritualise man's optimism, to enhance his faith in the victory of hope over fear. Magic expresses the greater value for man of confidence over doubt, of steadfastness over vacillation, of optimism over pessimism."
Very nice.
That's lovely.
I would also maybe just add that for me, everything that I would call ritual, not just satanic, but like everyday rituals, is action that has some intention behind it. Like whatever it is, it can be something really small, just doing your beauty routine, whatever. Bear with me, I'm tired. This is what came to me now. But whatever you do, the way you put like the order of stuff that you put on yourself, your clothes, I guess it's the same order every time you do it. And that bears some sort of ritualistic, attribute for me.
Completely
But
agree.
Of course,
Absolutely.
we as Satanists, we take it a little bit further than that. So, yeah.
Well, I'd say,
ritual
yeah,
plays.
we take it further because having identified that ritual has meaning, ritual is important to all of us, we go, okay, brilliant. So how can we now use ritual for our benefit? How, as Satanists, as knowing the power of ritual, how do we then leverage that to our advantage?
Yeah, because we can enjoy it.
And there is no, unlike you look at traditional sort of Abrahamic faiths where ritual is a set thing that you're expected to do. You're expected to go to church. You're expected to do your first communion, blah, blah, blah. This is, as a Satanist, you're not expected to do any sort of ritual. You're not expected to. There aren't rituals that you must participate in. You can do whatever you like, and you can do them by yourself.
Damn right.
In your own private space if you want. And there are, for example, one of the rituals we do is an initiation ritual. But you don't have to do that to become a Satanist or a member of a satanic group. For me, and Leopold performed my initiation ritual, it was a very important step as a person who had, the way I regard it, by coercion introduced into the Catholic faith, i.e., I was made a Catholic at the time when I could not even control my own bowel movements, right? I was a baby,
Yeah.
right? I had no choice. And then I was fed decades of bullshit about the religion, expected to attend services. So for me, it was very important in front of a group of like-minded people to state that I renounced that vigorously and was going to change path and embrace Satanism. And to say that in front of a group of people who accepted that and who also were empowered by me and everyone else in that group to likewise state that they renounced whatever had been imposed on them.
Yeah,
and that to me was very important.
It doesn't even have to be a renunciation of Catholicism. It can be a renunciation of any kind of coercive control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Lithos. It was, may I just say, it was not only my pleasure, but my great honour to conduct that ritual for you, as I have for other people present here this evening, and many other Satanists around the country as well. And genuinely, all of the initiation rituals that I have led, and I personally, I wrote that initiation ritual as well. That is a ritual I crafted myself. And every time I have taken a group of Satanists who want to go, and as you rightly said, it is a choice. Nobody has to do any ritual, even the initiation. It's totally up to you. A lot of people just think, I'm a Satanist, I don't need to, I don't need anyone to tell me I am or not, but for those who choose to go through that initiation ritual, and as you said, for a personal reason, for a personal statement that you're making to yourself and the universe and those around you, it's always been, without a doubt, one of the deepest and most meaningful rituals that I've ever performed. Every single time I've done it, it's been a personal joy to do it. And it's so wonderful to hear that people do receive the benefit from it. That was the intention of the ritual when I drafted it. That was its purpose.
Yes, that's an example of an in-person one and a specific example. And there are many rituals that take different forms. And there is actually, and I will link it in the show notes, there is actually an online ritual that Ligeia did. And I would heartily recommend you go and see it. It's visually very beautiful as well. Maybe if you'd like to say a bit more about that, Ligeia.
Thank you. Thank you for your lovely words with us. I was not expecting this. So the ritual I wrote, and it's now online, was my first public ritual baby. How do I say this? I have always been a very deeply ritualistic person. But as Lithos said, I did not feel in my previous coursed faith that the rituals I had to perform as a Catholic were mine at all. So you don't become a Satanist, I don't believe so. You are one or you are not one. You either are truthful to yourself. If you know you are a Satanist, you either follow up with this or you don't have to. For me, finding my satanic community here meant that I finally could explore the ritualistic part of myself more openly. I felt finally free to start looking for words, not just the optical stuff, I have my art form, I have the environment that I create for myself at home, my altar, the jewelry you wear, whatever, candles, whatever makes it for you. Again, there are no rules. You can be a freaking rainbow Satanist. You can be surrounded by everything pink. So for me, it's black and dark color, which is mostly like the cliche mindset of people who don't know us, everything is just black. You don't have to. Absolutely, you don't have to. And this freedom, with all that comes to like the expression of my Satanism, is, I can't even say it, how much that means to me. It's not an option. It's not optional. I have to have it. I absolutely have to have it. I love doing rituals just for myself or for a small group of people who want to join me, or in a bigger group of us when we finally can just like meet and do something together. And the one that is now online, I hope it's not the last one I will make. It's not easy because we are still misunderstood. Maybe this is one of the reasons why we want to talk about stuff and make people who are interested to learn who we really are, what we really do. Not everything. We will not tell you the secrets, but, you know, there is nothing to be really afraid of. And we would like to just educate people who are interested that you are welcome to explore with us what we do. And maybe this is something that will open the gate for more people who are still afraid to come out and might be just interested in the, you know, the imagery, the beautiful world that we as Satanists can create, because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love our rituals. I think they are the most honest way of expressing oneself. And why that is because we are not worshipping anything that is supernatural. There is no higher being controlling how we do the rituals, what we need to say. There is no judgment. There is no feeling of like, oh, you know, what do we need to say here?
There's no coercion.
It is honest. Yeah. There is no coercion, yes. And I feel that this is such a gorgeous way of self-exploration and expression that I don't even know how to express myself now. But like the whole atmosphere changes for me. I feel it in my bones. There is the hum. There is the freaking goosebumps. It's absolutely amazing. So this is what I wanted to communicate.
Hail Satan to that.
Yeah.
Hail Satan!
Indeed. Yeah, it's a very good point. And there is the whole aspect of part of the ritual is kind of dressing up for the occasion. And that is entirely down to the individual. A lot of us pick what would traditionally be seen as Satanist garb, the black robes, you know, symbols of Satanism. That is not a requirement at all. I've been to rituals where people have worn bright coloured robes. You do what you want to do, basically. You turn up in the kind of garb you want to turn up in. And you can participate or you can leave it at any point. For example, the initiation ritual is quite clearly stated at the start. You know, this is not you must go through with this if you feel that you don't want to do it at some point. You can stop, you can leave the ritual. And the language of the ritual is entirely allegorical. So at the start, when Leo said we're bringing about hell on earth, or you can talk about opening the gates of hell, or the glory of Satan, these are metaphors.
Absolutely.
Satan is the self. It's the questioning self. It's the disobedient self. It's the rational, scientific self. It is the compassionate self.
Absolutely. So
we're not talking about literally opening the gates of hell. And I can assure you there is no such thing as hell or Satan. Because if there was, we would have fucking summoned him by now.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said it. I think that's another one thing. People are like, when they find out, you know, people find out, oh, it's atheistic Satanism, and then you explain that to them, and they kind of get their head around that as much or as little as they choose to. And then they go, but, you know, okay, so you do these rituals and you use this language, and you go through with some pretty, some of our rituals have been fairly, bloodletting rituals done safely, of course. There has been some fairly extreme aspects to it that would be, off-putting to many people, I'm sure. And once again, nobody has to let blood if they don't want to. The person who did let the blood in the ritual I'm referring to was desperate to do it. They couldn't wait to do it. They were ecstatic to do it, and it was done safely and everything like that.
They are still alive.
They are still alive, yes. Sorry, what was I going on about here?
And I believe a medical practitioner as well.
Yes, we had a proper
So it was done
There was a
safely.
proper trained phlebotomist who, did a proper cannulation and everything like that, absolutely. However, that doesn't mean that, I'm going off on a tangent here, I'll come back to that later. But, the point being that people sort of go, well, aren't you worried that, okay, you don't believe in it, but what if you accidentally did summon a demon or put a curse on yourselves or something like that? What if you, I know you guys don't take it seriously, but, what if you accidentally did it? Aren't you worried that, we just accidentally, summoned a hell portal or something? And I think what you said, Nithos, is if we were going to do it, it would have happened by now. Because some of the stuff we've done, in private and in our personal rituals and in our group rituals, deliberately at times I've done things that I'm like, okay, if there is an almighty, then this is going to piss him off to the point where I will be struck down on the spot. It's that kind of thing. I've literally conducted a ritual in the Hellfire Caves at Wickham, in the lowest point of the Hellfire Caves, in what's referred to as the unholy of unholies, the sort of the most deepest, darkest pit where the supposed, worst satanic rituals of the Hellfire Club took place. I could wax lyrical about the Hellfire Club, it's all blown out of proportion anyway. Regardless, I have done a satanic ritual there where I burned Bible pages and smeared ash upon my face and drank wine in, the glory of Satan, and I'm still here, I'm still alive, nothing has come as a result of it. There is no supernatural element to any of this, and we have tested that rigorously.
Also, may I just add, we usually do rituals in a space that is shared, so if we open the portal, it's nice to close it afterwards. Guys, you know the rules. Once you're leaving the chamber, close the fucking portal.
It's only polite to close the door
very
behind
polite,
Don't let the draft from hell in.
Also,
you're letting the cold out.
Yeah,
you.
exactly. And no sacrifices in the cafe area. Never.
Earlier you said that you can leave the ritual at any point. Say you're during an initiation ritual, you're uncomfortable and you decide, I'm done. Well, but that does leave the gates of hell open, doesn't it? If you're not there till the end, they don't get closed.
So
there's usually the one that is performing it.
We're just
Right?
getting unholy
Right,
draft
Chaplain?
excluder.
sorry.
Well, you don't take the gates with you if you
I'm
leave.
sorry.
They're kind of like within the ritual space.
I just want to make sure everyone heard the very, Soto voice. You just get an unholy draft excluder from Larashe, because that is great. Taking what you've said seriously, Pike. So
No,
I
don't.
think- No. But it's a valid point for people who might not have experienced rituals or participated or are curious. And it's an absolutely fair point. I would say that we have had rituals interrupted in the past. We often perform rituals in public spaces, in wooded areas, outdoor spaces. We can be intruded upon. And the great thing about our rituals is, of course, is that we control the narrative. We decide what is part of the ritual, what, if, there's, the old Hollywood trope, the circle's been broken, the ritual has been undone, no, all of that. And we were doing a documentary once, and we were filming a very, sort of high drama, fire, and skulls, all this kind of thing, ritual in the middle of a public forest somewhere in Peckham, and it was people. All of a sudden, people intruded upon us, and I said, well, if it happens, we just keep going and we deal with it as it happens. And then these people came back and they had their phones out and they were recording, and they were clearly, getting up in our face, and they were getting quite, I'd say, aggressive, and we were, mid-ritual, mid the hierarchy, sort of almost at the peak of the, the satanic majesty of it, if you like. And the guys who were making the documentary, one of them got really angry and started walking towards these people, almost, I was worried he was going to, make a fist and start, physical or something. And I just sort of, within the moment, just sort of said, no, just let them be. There's nothing we're doing here that has anything that they can do to spoil. There's nothing they can do to interrupt our satanic purpose. We shall continue. If they want to film us, whatever. Who cares? We're not doing anything illegal. We're not doing anything, that is with anything apart from our intended purpose of the ritual. And, they just got bored and wandered off, and the ritual carried on. And, our ritual was not spoiled by that. We still got the benefit from it. We still continued everything. So it has happened. And I would say that just because a ritual space can be broken doesn't mean doesn't mean we've left the dog door to hell open and the hounds got out, kind of thing.
Yeah. Also, I was there. I remember this. It was a funny and beautiful experience. And I would just say, I don't think that person got bored. I think they were a little bit scared. I don't think like unexpecting people see a bunch of Satanists in their black robes and masks with fire and candelabra and everything in the middle of the woods every day.
No, absolutely. And I think, I don't know, perhaps for me, I'm always of the opinion that de-escalate. And again, we're tangenting here a little bit, but it's when stuff like that has happened, and it has happened a couple of times in the past, that was the most, I suppose, aggressive incident of it. But, it's who knows what their feelings on the matter and what if they were scared, if they were bored or whatever like that. My personal feeling is they were trying to get a reaction from us. They were trying to film it for
they were
film it for the gram and put something out there. And so us just carrying on and doing our nice little ritual that's not harming anyone and just doing our own thing. My opinion was they were like, I wanted a reaction and they didn't get it and they wandered off, kind of thing. But maybe they were scared, like who knows.
Maybe they're hoping for naked virgins. You never know.
Well.
Yeah, what people...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no virgin by any stretch of the imagination, but I'd have got naked for them if they wanted. That would have really scared them off. God.
Okay.
I was thinking we had a few examples of rituals here, and maybe it's worth talking about what other purposes for a ritual are, because we said it's reclaiming rituals from organized religion, putting intention behind something you do, overcoming religious trauma. But what else is there?
Well, I know that, Laraj, you wanted to add something here about the actual provable value of rituals, didn't you?
Yeah. I think Leo mentioned it earlier, but ritual has been with us as a species since like the dawn of antiquity. They found ritualized activity going back nearly 250,000 years. Archaeologists have found this. The role ritual plays in human development is that there are theories that suggest that ritual developed alongside intelligence in humans, and they kind of like fed each other and built each other up. There's good theories that suggest that without ritual, we wouldn't have things like art, for example. They do numerous things: transmission of cultural knowledge, they facilitate social learning, they strengthen important social bonds, they make not just satanic rituals, but all rituals mark major life transitions. They create social meaning via a sense of belonging to a group or group-specific rituals, what anthropologists call social glue. They bring people into a kind of more intimate and dynamic relationship with each other, if it's a group ritual, something like that. It's a good way of creating social bonds between people. So like anthropologists say that people have family and an immediate friend group, and then beyond that, people struggle to empathise with larger groups. So rituals are ways of strengthening social bonds beyond those groups. Yeah, there's lots of reasons why humans perform rituals and how long we've been doing it.
And yes, the rituals do take different forms. There was one, and Leo will confirm this because he was actually officiating, for want of a better term, that ritual, which almost ended up like a group therapy session, where it wasn't like a formal, someone says something and then, you each get initiated. It was basically, I won't go into details of it, but it ended up going around a circle of people and people revealing personal details about how they felt or what had affected them. And, there were tears at the ritual, not in a bad way. It was kind of like an emotional release. And it was effectively a very, very good group therapy. And you could have paid a lot of fucking money for that kind of thing. But, we just did it ourselves. And it was a really deeply affecting ritual. And the people came out of it feeling a lot better about themselves. I certainly did.
Oh, absolutely.
That is interesting because that is used also by cults as a way to gather information, which then can be used against people, in case they try to leave. I think it's important to say that the purpose here is completely different.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, we don't really have leaders in that sense, so there's not a cult leader trying to gather information about people. It's a natural sharing.
And
there's also the implicit and explicit statement that anything that happens within a ritual remains within a ritual kind of thing. So you don't go out, which is why I said I won't go into details. You don't go out and certainly don't divulge any personal details in there. And another reason why this is not a cult is every satanic organization that I'm aware of, it's like you are free to leave at any time. No one will bear you a grudge.
I think that's
that's
everything we've sort of touched on already about consent, about desire to be there, about the right to refuse, the option to opt out at any point applies very much to that situation. And from my recollection, that ritual was beautiful. It was a transcendental moment as far as I'm concerned. It was one of the most beautiful memories of ritualizing with you wonderful people that I have. But even in that, many people were, as Lifo said, absolutely wholeheartedly just opening their souls, and they were comfortable and confident and wanted to do that. And equally, there were people in that group who, when it came round to them, they said, actually, I don't wish to do this right now. And that was not a problem. And we just said, of course, and moved on to the next person.
Yes, that was like I say, explicitly, it's like, well, if you don't want to do this, you don't want to do this. If you didn't even want to come to the ritual, you didn't have
Exactly.
to. But once you're there, you're free to go, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to say anything here.
You don't need to explain why.
Of course.
It's normal. Just
Yeah.
like we are here to support each other. So
I think it's a good example that we do practice what we preach in that respect. That was
oh yeah.
an example we can all point to and say nobody was ostracized for not participating if they chose not to. Some people entered the ritual space with the intention of participating, and then when it came to them, they changed their mind and decided they didn't want to. And nobody was annoyed, nobody was pissed off, anything like that. Everyone just, politely nodded and, gave them their support, and we moved on to the next person. So, yeah, it is... we do practice that.
Yeah,
We don't... it's not lip service.
I can personally attest to that. For reasons I won't go into, I struggled with rituals for a while. Not the ritual itself, but people being dressed in black robes and stuff. It kind of like had an effect on me that's I've lived with since I'm about 12. So I knew there was a ritual going to be performed, and I was trying to force myself to do it. And then I realised nobody is going to object if you don't do it, so just don't do it. So I didn't do it. And there was no judgment, there was nothing. I explained afterwards why I wasn't able. And people were very, very supportive of my reasons, and nobody judged me for not being able to do it. Since then, I've worked on that, and I'm now able to do it. But at that time, I wasn't, and there was no judgment.
I'm so glad you were true to yourself in that moment. I'm really glad that you didn't force yourself to do that.
Because there are no expectations set upon people for any of this. There's no expectations. It is all consent, and it is all personal decision. And no one expects anything other than the decision is personal, and you consent to it fully.
Yeah. And it can change in that moment. You might be planning something and then you just don't feel like doing it at that moment. Or there are certain levels, like you can be present, but maybe just be quiet. It's all good. It's all good. We are friends, we are family.
Yeah.
And usually it's between people who, not usually, always, it's between people who know each other, you know? It's like friends. And
I mean,
it would be really weird to feel forced to do any of that. That would be completely against anything that stands for Satanism.
Nobody absolutely. I hope I didn't give the impression that someone was trying to force me.
No,
Nobody.
not at all.
No,
No,
I'm
not
just
at all,
saying,
no.
of course not. Wow, no.
The only person who was trying to force me to do it was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you were able to take that moment of introspection and make that decision for yourself. Very glad.
We've talked a lot so far about group rituals. What do we think about the idea of personal, individual rituals? Because I know I do those.
Would you like to
Does
start that
anybody
discussion
else?
then? Would you like, if you're comfortable, would you like to give us some insight?
Yeah,
into-
Yeah, tell us.
So I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say that you had to go and speak to someone in an official capacity. I don't know, something like a job interview, or talk to someone in officialdom about something. Had to open a bank account or something like that. So I would usually do a small ritual lasting no more than about 15-20 minutes. And I would think about the allegorical Lilith and how she was true to herself and stood up for what she thought was right and wouldn't kowtow to this arbitrary authority who was telling her she must do this, must do that. And I might light some candles to sort of like enhance the ritualistic aspect of it, but mainly it would involve me just sitting quietly and thinking about that.
Yes, indeed. And it's kind of a very good example of how rituals affect everyone in every aspect of their lives, because, you know, that particular one you mentioned is satanic themed. However, I would argue that every single person who goes for a job interview goes through a ritual beforehand. And if you didn't, you're probably going to fail the fucking interview. You have ways to prepare for things. Those are rituals. And, you know, you can make them satanic themed or not. And in our case, very often satanic themed, obviously.
Mm-hmm. I see this as a little like self-sculpting thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is very different from, like, I think people with other beliefs or faith. I remember myself when I was still, before something I was expected to do, for example, I don't know, an exam, I would pray to God to help me, to be there, to make me wise and educated in one night. Like, I need to do this exam tomorrow. Please help me. I've been such a good girl. But it was just, bullshitting myself. But now this, if I do my ritual in a satanic way, it makes so much more sense. Because I talk to myself. I think about the gifts I actually do know I have, and the weaknesses I also have. And I'm trying to work with what I know I have. I'm true to myself, I'm honest to myself, I'm trying to help myself to go through the stuff that is waiting for me, I don't know, next day or whatever, or some other pain, or it doesn't even need to be negative. It can be my joy, it can be just something enjoyable, and I just want to spend some while with myself and with my own mind, my psyche, what I'm feeling, what my emotions are. And it's not asking any supernatural anything for me. So actually the next day I can do it because I spent some time with myself. I can calm myself down. I can encourage myself. I can listen to some music that is for me satanic, heavy metal, for example. I can burn some fucking shit and I can get myself going. I can kick my own ass and I can like, Ligeia, hello, you can do this. What can happen, And for me, this is the result of my healthy fucking ritual.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't rely on a freaking god. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I think the ritualistic elements kind of like remain the same, whether you're sort of like talking to God as a Catholic or whatever it is they do when they pray. I'm not a Catholic, never have been. Or performing as a ritual as an atheistic Satanist. It's the ritual aspect. So there was a study done, a team of anthropologists studied a few sports teams in America, and sports teams are notoriously ritualistic. You know, a footballer might wear the same pair of socks because he scored a goal, you know, and now he never changes those socks, that kind of thing. And they found out that people that did rituals before an important game were more likely to be successful in those games.
Exactly.
And they asked them to not do the rituals a couple of times, and they were less successful during those games. And that's not supernatural. There's nothing supernatural about that. It's simply a way of reinforcing your own positive attributes to yourself before a game, in their case.
That's such a wonderful example. I really love that, you know, exactly that. It's, and what you're discussing, what you're bringing up is, you know, as we're saying, the positive proof, the vast body of evidence that ritual behavior, ritualistic intention, you know, performing rituals has a noticeable, you know, psychological, testable, repeatable, provable positive effect on an individual or a group of people participating in it. And it, you know, it reinforces, you know, people always ask, well, why do you do it? If you're atheists, why do you do all the high drama and the ritual and everything like that? You don't believe in the supernatural, and you say explicitly that you don't think you're casting any spells or doing anything like that. So why do you do it? And it's examples like that that really demonstrate why we do it. It's because it has a demonstrable positive effect on you as an individual that's nothing to do with magic or religion or woo or whatever it is. It's psychology, it's humanity, it's us. It has a positive effect, you know.
Yes, and from what I said earlier, you know, it comes back to, it's about self-affirmation. Literally, that's the main sort of aspect of pretty much every ritual, satanic ritual I've been to. It's self-affirmation. But there's also the fact that they are fun, right? We mean for them to be fun as well as have a purpose.
Hell yeah.
We are here to enjoy ourselves, to live deliciously, to have fun. So we do dress up, and it can get very theatrical.
Oh,
and
yes.
there's nothing fucking wrong with it, because as well as affirming yourself, you should have fun doing it.
Hell yeah. If I can quote one of my appearances in a UK publication, I was quoted in the Telegraph once as sorry, get my pompous aspect on, but I was quoted in the Telegraph as saying exactly that, and it was one of the straplines they used for the article was, you know, nobody is expected to have to do a satanic ritual. A satanic ritual is never something that people are going, oh God, it's Sunday, I've got to do the ritual. You know, it's always something that people are overjoyed and, you know, desperate's not the right word, but, you know, they are excited and keen and cannot wait to engage in that ritual. I've never encountered a Satanist who treats ritual as a burden. If they did, they wouldn't do ritual as part of their Satanism. You know, it wouldn't be part of what they practice in Satanism. And yeah, ritual is fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. Clearly, people think it is as well. You know, it's a shame that so many religions have kind of, you know, done ritual for so long and so in such a prescribed way that it's lost all the fun. I remember because I was raised a Christian, and, you know, I engaged in Christianity well into my early 20s. You know, I came to Satanism quite late in life. And I remember attending religious services. Some of them were fun, and some of them were, you know, it basically boiled down to the priest that was leading it. You know, if you had a priest that was actually passionate and cared and wasn't just going through the motions, then that was a fun service to be involved in, and it was actually pleasant and beneficial. If you were just going to your local church and the priest was like, well, it's Sunday, got to deliver a sermon, got to do the communion, got to yada, 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 how quickly can we bash through this and how quickly can I be on the golf course? You know, it's like, then they were nails on a chalkboard, boring to be involved in. You know, it was so clearly, it's like we're just doing this because we have to, rather than you should be desperate to get into the church and take the communion wine and take that. You know, you should be, you know, you couldn't wait to go and do it. But so many people say, "Oh God, it's Sunday. Yeah, I know I should do it." And I mean, doesn't that speak to the decline of participation in church services in this country and lots of places around the world? Is that it has become formulaic for so many religions. It has become a burden rather than what it should be, which is I can't wait to get into that ritual space. I can't wait to engage and be with other people who feel the same way I do. I cannot wait to engage in those ritualistic aspects of my religion.
I think some of that is to do with intent. The intent that we bring to rituals is to sort of like form community or do things for ourselves. But that fun aspect is part of the intent. Whereas it seems to me that theist religions, they've replaced intent with dogma, and it's kind of like, we have to do this, and we have to do this at a specific time, and in a specific way, and in a specific place, and fucking hell, I'm going to die of boredom if I have to do this one more Sunday.
And what is waiting for you in a church is just another guilt trip. Thank you.
Well, I'm quite fortunate because I completely, as a vast whole, completely agree with what Ligeia just said. Yeah, it's another guilt trip and everything like that. I was very fortunate when I was younger and growing up in a sort of Middle England, C of E, Church of England, go to church on Sunday, not because you believe, but because it's what you do. It's a small town and everyone goes to church on Sunday, And I was so fortunate that during my sort of formative years, the priest who happened to be the incumbent of that church was the most passionate, the most engaged, the most actually not only believed in his God and his scripture and things like that, but believed in the people and believed that his role wasn't to drag everyone into Sunday and hit them over the head with a Bible, but to bring them in and improve their lives by having been there. He was so focused on community and cracking jokes and making it interesting and things like that. So I don't want to completely write off all practitioners of other faiths and say, oh, it's all boring, it's always like that, because I have seen from personal example that there can be, but yes, as an overwhelming thing, definitely it is boring. I think most people would agree in the vast majority of cases in dogmatic religions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a world of difference between a traditional Catholic service and a sort of like a Black American gospel service where people are actually having fun and are singing and dancing. And I would argue that the boredom of traditional church services has also led to mega churches in America where they put on a show, they have a band, they have screens. The fact that the person leading it is a charlatan who pretends to cure people and just wants your money is by the by. It is, the draw is make this enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a spectacle. Yeah, it's an arena rather than a church. Yeah, the priest is coming down on a wire flying rig from the heavens, and like smoke machines go off, pyrotechnics. Yeah, and I won't pretend I'm not a little jealous. I would love to have that budget, and I'd love to have that tech crew behind us in our rituals. Cue pyro on 3. I'd love to have that. But I completely agree.
Can I have a Hail Satan?
Hail Satan! But yes, it's very much,
I was going to say, I think it can be a form of play. So, Laraj and Ligeia, when you described your personal rituals, it strikes me that it is quite different from preparing for your job interview or putting your makeup on or any of those everyday rituals. And what differentiates it is that the creative element is much more pronounced.
I think as a sort of general sort of overview, a satanic ritual is something in which you are always an active participant. You're never coming to a satanic ritual and have to sit in the uncomfortable pew, be quiet for an hour and a half, and only engage when the priest says, right, now we're singing hymn such and such or anything like that. For a satanic ritual, you're involved. If you're there, you're doing it with an active role. Even if that role is to stand there and just reply, Hail Satan, you are doing it with intent. You're doing it intentionally. You're there to do that. And if you want to do more than that, you'll have said so beforehand. And it'll have been worked out and incorporated into the ritual sort of thing.
It could be argued, though, that that doesn't make it any different from, say, a churchy ritual. You could say, well, they're playing an active role in the pews. They have to there are certain words to say, there are certain songs or hymns, and there are bits where you stand up, there are bits where you beat your chest, and so on.
I think the difference is, though, that they have to do those things.
Right.
You know, they have to, like Catholics have to give the response to us when the priest says something. They have to respond with a certain form of words. You know, it's kind of like, it's ritual taken to its ultimate extreme, where there's nothing original, there's nothing thought-provoking. It's just like rattling through this thing.
Yeah.
That's my take.
That's exactly what I was going to say as
And
well.
now a reading from John.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
reading from John. But also, you know, nobody's gonna be looking at you like, what are you doing here? Like, I'm talking from my experience. I always liked my makeup and my hair and feeling like a woman. I love being in my body. I love enjoying my body. And this is not allowed if you're a Christian girl. And like, I had to always think, what can I wear to this church so people will not be looking at me in the way they usually did? And, you know, I never understood that. What is wrong with people being happy with themselves and enjoying their body that was given by God? Like, why can't I be happy being here and being alive and being human? So this will never happen to you in a satanic ritual.
I love that statement so much,
it's
Ligeia. I absolutely adore that. It's
Thank you. Yeah, it's always, you know, there is consent, because not every satanic person is going to be showing up in their underwear or naked or whatever. Please don't get me wrong.
And in a lot of circumstances,
we talk about it beforehand.
Yeah.
If you want to, it can be arranged, and you can just enjoy being yourself. And I love that.
It's a really good point to touch on there, because I think that a lot of people, even within the satanic community, when I started leading rituals, performing rituals, writing rituals, inviting people to be involved in them, one of the biggest concerns that people raised was that either they would be expected to do something that they were uncomfortable with in a sensual, sexual way, because there is that big connotation. Fuck Anton LaVey and his fucking, there must be a naked lady on the fucking altar. You can't do a satanic ritual without it. Oh, fuck off, Anton. And we all know there are so many of us who absolutely would love to do that and would have no problem being involved in it. But I had so many people coming to me expressing their concerns that they were going to be forced to not do it themselves, but just to have to witness it. And they felt they'd be very uncomfortable with that. Equally, so many people have said, my God, I just want to do an absolute naked ritual where we all writhe around on the floor and, it's just one big fuck pile, and both of those things are acceptable in Satanism. It's all agreed on beforehand what form the ritual will take and what is permissible within bounds of this ritual based on the predilections of those who are engaging in it. I think we did. There's an example of that. We went away for a sort of satanic weekend away once, and in the planning stage, it became very obvious that was sort of part of the group who were not comfortable with being naked and being exposed and things like that, either for themselves or having to, be present in it. Absolutely fine. And then there was sort of the other contingent of us who were like, hey, can we just be naked the whole weekend? That would be great, And so we literally organized it. So we had what we called the pants house and the no pants house. As in, if you're going to go stay in this place, you're expected to be clothed and respect people's boundaries. If you're going to go stay in this place, then you're going to expect that we're all going to be butt naked all the time. And people were given that option. And it's, wonderful that we have both of those available within satanic ritual.
Yeah, I mean, it strikes me as that the simplest solution to that in terms of rituals is have two rituals.
That's exactly what we did.
Yes.
Sometimes we did it more than twice.
Yeah.
What did?
Did you preside over both types, Leo?
I I'll take it anyway. I've got to be careful what I say. Something I'd just like to throw out to everyone is we've sort of talked a lot about sort of a ritual as a high concept. Is it worth of us just sort of going into the actual specifics of some rituals, sort of how our rituals are actually constructed, what we're literally doing in the ritual, what form it takes, how it starts, how it builds to a climax, what actions are taken place, and then how we would finish the ritual and how it would conclude. Is there anyone who'd like to sort of discuss that kind of aspect of it?
Of course, but you are the right person, I think.
Well,
Would you like
I'll
to?
give a starting point. Was that when I first started, for those who may not be aware of sort of modern satanic practices and everything, there is no Bible. There's no textbook. There's no, this is how rituals are done, and you sort of start with this and you base your rituals around that. People might point to old fuckface LeVay's satanic Bible written in the 60s and all of that. And for us, at least, there are still adherents to the Church of Satan and LeVay's philosophy and practices. But for us, at least, that's so much hogwash and so much, we do not go by that in the slightest. Like, that can get in the bin with all the other scripture that's dogmatic. Get rid of it. So we are making this ourselves. And so very early on, it was clear that we all had, an idea in our heads of what a satanic ritual was, of what we wanted to experience. But also, we had to be realistic about what we could actually achieve. A lot of people were like, brilliant, we want a stone altar, we want human skulls, we want this, that, and the other, we want pyrotechnics and fire. And you have to be realistic and go, well, actually, that's a lot of money, which we don't necessarily have. It's a lot of effort, and actually it's more effort to try and create all of that than it is to do a more simplistic, personal, meaningful ritual that relies on less props and less, scenery and things like that, which is what LeVay's rituals were always so focused on. If you read the accompaniment of the Satanic Bible, the Satanic Rituals, every single one of them, it's like you basically need a Hollywood budget and set to even, have the space to do it in. I seem to remember one of them called for a massive Van de Graaff machine that would create huge plumes of static electricity or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I don't believe a single one of these has ever been performed. Genuinely, I don't think it's actually possible. It's all showmanship. And so I focused instead on the structure and making it we establish the space, we enter the space, we state our intention, we engage in some act of satanic practice that is meaningful and is actually, it should be something that for us is an expression of satanic purpose and satanic intent. The number one thing I always point to is, we invite people forward to rip a page from a Bible and then burn that page themselves. And then we may do something with the ash or otherwise. But doing that sort of very, very intentional act of blasphemy, you want to call it that, we don't believe in it. There's blasphemy, a victimless crime, as we all know. But doing that sort of very purposeful, very intentional satanic act sort of forms the focal point of the ritual. And then from around that, you can kind of build the structure of it. You have the introduction, and then it leads up to this climax of that moment. And then it's more of a sort of reflective time afterwards, where you can stand in a group and reflect on what you've done, and then finish off by sealing the circle, closing the gates of hell, and having a definitive end to it. And so I found that writing rituals with a very clear intent, a very clear motive, and a very clear structure gave us the outcome that most people wanted from their ritual, which was this intent. It wasn't just sort of standing around going, so maybe we should light some candles? Okay, who wants to hail Satan? That kind of thing. But having that structure to it really sort of elevated it from us kind of like going, well, I don't know, what's Satanism, to myself and people who practice rituals with me going, no, this had meaning, this had intent, this was maybe life-changing, maybe, but deeply emotionally important to me. And all of the theories I've just talked about are the ones that I've applied to the initiation ritual that Lithos and Ligeia were engaged in, and also other rituals that we have performed. And I won't go into details right now. Some of them are PG friendly, some of them aren't. But I think that it shows that having that structure to it does have the effect that I'd intended, because both of you have spoken how impactful those rituals were on you. So I'm very glad to hear that it did work out in that way.
I was going to ask how a ritual is prepared, because is it one person taking responsibility? Are people invited to bring something in themselves? How is it normally done?
May I give my perspective?
Yeah, go
Sorry, I
ahead.
realise I've spoken a lot, but I'll keep it as brief as possible. From my experience, the most meaningful and impactful and powerful rituals that I've been involved in have been the ones where I have personally made the ritual and then given the script, if you like, to the people who will be involved in it, asked them their thoughts, asked them for their additions or reductions or retractions and what they would like from it. But from a personal perspective and sort of a satanic viewpoint, making a ritual is a deeply personal act of faith. And it's, for me at least, it works better when at least the genesis of the ritual is done by an individual and then workshopped out to those who will be involved in it. But certainly there's no, you have to do it that way. And there have been other rituals which have been written by committee.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, pretty much what I was going to say. Yeah. However it's done, there is no formal way that it's done. And, if anyone listening to this, the thought that comes to mind is, well, you're just making this up as you go along. Yes, we fucking are.
Damn right.
That's how religions come about, right?
Damn right.
Because God didn't build the Vatican. He didn't give the Pope his wardrobe. God didn't dictate what songs you sing. It was made up by people, and it was made up as they went along.
Damn right.
And they learned from experience, and that's what we're doing. But we're being fucking honest about it. Satan didn't put this on our plates and tell us how to deliver this. We're doing this. We as humans are creating this. We are making it up as we go along, and we are perfectly fucking fine with that. And if you're not, you can fuck off.
Hail fucking Satan. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Very true.
I'll say to that.
And this is coming to the point that I wanted to exaggerate, that many of us just one day felt like, I just need to write a ritual, and you just share it with the group and you go like, okay guys, I wrote this ritual, and it's so it's so heartwarming, and I love this about us, because nobody needs to ask you to do it. If you feel like it, you can do it. You can ask people for their input, whatever. What do you think? And you can just do it. If you feel like doing it, you can absolutely write a ritual every single day if you want to. It's nothing weird. Nobody's being expected to do it, but also you can. I love it. If you can tell.
It's open source, entirely open source religion, and none of these rituals are copyrighted or sort of reserved, or that we're going to get upset if someone else goes, well, we're going to do that. It's like, no, this is, we're throwing this out into the world, and like it or don't like it, this is what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful seeing the variety of different rituals that people who I've been honoured to be part of the sort of satanic journey of a couple of people in the chat here, and it's been wonderful watching them go from curious, dipping their toe in, being uncertain about how ritual works, how, if it's, am I allowed to create rituals, and then going to, as Ligeia is, being a wonderful beacon of satanic energy and literature, who's creating rituals and putting the good word of Satan out there and sharing her love for rituals with everyone. It's truly wonderful.
I'm melting. Don't do this to me. My horns are melting. Okay.
Not literally.
No.
No, for the benefit of the listeners, Ligeia's horns are still there.
Yes.
And mighty
As
five horns they are too.
Yes. Everything is still with me.
Did you maybe want to touch very quickly on sort of debunking maybe sort of some of the preconceptions people have about satanic rituals? So the sex, the nudity, the animal sacrifice, the anything like that. Do we want to touch on any of that?
Yeah, we can.
We can. I think we pretty much made it clear though that there's none of that going on.
We
think we've
love
done that,
animals, people.
Yeah.
We love animals. We are.
Yeah. Some of us are vegans, for fuck's sake.
Absolutely.
Like, literally, we have vegans and vegetarians amongst us.
Yeah.
Do you really think we're going to fucking slaughter a goat?
And we have
We don't
love
like
goats.
hurting anything.
we have
or anybody.
teetotal people as well. I remember there was one ritual that calls for drinking a goblet of
Yes.
wine, and I had to run around and find some non-alcoholic wine to use for that one because we had people participating who were teetotal, and absolutely. I think
Absolutely.
one thing, certainly from the people who I speak to, because I'm in, a lot of BDSM communities and, kind of sort of very much more the kinky, sensual side of Satanism as well. There's people like, oh, do you do the sex rituals? It's like, do you do the sex? And it's like, yeah, if you want to. It's like, yeah, sure, we can do that. I think some people upon hearing, oh, we don't, it's not like the movies, and like, oh, so I can't get naked and have ritualistic orgies in the woods? Oh, no, you totally can, but just don't expect that everyone has to do it. It's like
It's not the default setting.
Exactly, yeah.
Obviously.
But yeah, definitely.
And so what we sacrifice is injustice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We do sacrifice those. You can put it on a paper and burn the fucking misogyny and bigotry and prejudice and fascism. That's our sacrifice.
Oh,
I mean,
that's a wonderful
not-
statement.
That's not
we
interesting
regularly
to you. I don't know.
sacrifice bits of Bible.
Yeah, that too.
That
too.
There is pages, and there have been rituals where people will they won't just rip a page out of the Bible. They will literally stand there and go through it and go, this
Oh,
page,
yeah.
this fucking hateful
absolutely.
page that has caused me so much grief in my life. I will rip this out and I will burn it with glue.
Leviticus?
And it's like, yes,
Leviticus is always the
Leviticus is
popular
always
one.
first.
Leviticus is an old
Yes.
favourite, an
Yeah.
old favourite.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing I'd like people to take away from this episode is that, and this doesn't just apply to the rituals that we do, everything that we do revolves around autonomy and consent. So when we talk about these things, it's always with consent, as Leo has stressed time and time again in everything that he said. Everything is always consensual.
Absolutely.
Damn right. Damn
Hail
right.
to that.
Hail Satan.
Indeed. Hail to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on that note, we can always return to it in the later podcast or elaborate, or people can write in. The email address will be in the show notes and ask questions. Give us
Q&A.
suggestions for future episodes.
I got a suggestion.
Go on.
How about a live ritual?
Oh, yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
We can do that. There is no reason why not.
Join along at home,
That's a good
folks.
idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Delicious.
Right. Shall we wrap this one up?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening. I am Lithos, Blasphemer General, giving you my Hail Satan.
I've been Laraj. Hail Satan.
I've been your Chaos Witch, and I wish you all the best. Hail Satan.
I have been Chaplain Leopold. It's been an absolute pleasure to hail Satan with all of you here this evening. I've enjoyed this immensely. Hail Satan.
Today, I've been your Cardinal Sin. Hail Satan.
Hey!
Right, we're there. Okay, everyone ready?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw Pike conducting an invisible orchestra.
I shall just remove anything that could potentially rustle or click. There we go. Alrighty then.